Thanks for staying with us on the program. Cedric Varner, great information for you on this segment. We're going to talk about insurance and investments with Mr. Kris Stallworth of the Kris Stallworth Agency. Mr. Stallworth, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having
on
me.
the program. Really excited. Of course, you know, you and I have been knowing each other for a long time.
Yes, sir.
And so we're really excited about your agency and the great work you're doing in the area. And so let's just go ahead and get started as we talk about insurance and investments and what we need to do to be prepared. One of the things that you talked about is having the proper liability coverage limit is essential.
It is. It's very essential, Cedric. You know, the state of Alabama mandates that a person has on their auto insurance what they call 25,000, 50,000, 25,000 for the liability limits. And then what that means is that those first two numbers, that 25,000, 50,000, is for bodily injury. So if I'm driving down the road and I run into Mr. Smith and Mr. Smith is injured, then the state mandates that I have at least that first 25,000 that will cover any injuries that Mr. Smith incurs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's more than just Mr. Smith and his car, and it was my fault, then you know that 50,000 covers everybody for that particular accident that was in that car.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I recommend to our clients to look at is that enough? Because if you're at fault, you injure someone and they're seriously injured, let's say they have medical bills, they're in the hospital, let's say they're unable to go back to work, and then all the insurance company is going to pay is that $25,000, then who's on the hook for the rest of it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the person who injured them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the same thing goes with that last 25,000, which is for property damage.
Mm-hmm.
So same scenario, if I hit Mr. Smith, let's say he's in a Mercedes. He just got him a new Mercedes and I just totaled it out. Well, all the insurance company is going to pay is $25,000 for property damage, but this is an $80,000 car.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on the hook?
Mm-hmm.
Again, the person who hit that car.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's essential to look at what those limits are. Just because the state mandates you have a certain limit doesn't mean that that's the right protection for you. And you can save money by going for that cheaper limit up front, but it could cost you a whole lot of money down the road.
Okay. So I hear you say that you are advocating to not just look at the minimum insurance, but look at the big picture.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you're safe and covered.
Absolutely. Look at the big picture,
Yeah.
because you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're on the hook for things that you may not be able to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Or you may not want to pay for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of the things, and that kind of leads into something else that I talk about,
Mm-hmm.
which is umbrella protection.
Mm-hmm.
What a personal umbrella policy does for a person is that they have their regular limits, liability limits, but if those are maxed out due to a, you know, an accident, or and it even extends to that person's home, well then the umbrella covers them for an additional amount. And it normally starts at $1 million, and you can increase it in increments of $1 million. So let's play out another scenario. Let's say again, someone is injured, whether it's in a car or at their home. You have a guest at your home that gets injured. We see every day on TV, if you turn on the TV and you listen to the radio, personal injury attorneys.
That's right.
They're out there.
That's right.
So you want to make sure that yourself is protected. So with an umbrella policy, I recommend to my clients that, hey, if you have teenage drivers, you need to look at an umbrella policy. If you have pets, you need to look at an umbrella policy. If you own a pool, you need to look at an umbrella policy. Even if you have just assets you want to protect, you want to look at an umbrella policy, because what's going to happen is that, again, if something happens and you get sued, then you want to make sure you have the proper coverage. I have a good friend who's an agent in another state. He had a client that had to use their umbrella protection. And it's kind of hard to believe, but they had a cat. And a guest was at that home, and that cat bit the guest.
Mm-hmm.
And they got ill. And they sued the homeowner. And because of that lawsuit and these people having that umbrella protection, they were protected. Another thing that I'll bring out is that you'll have a lot of times, some people may say, well, I don't have anything that, you know, that I need to protect, that they can come after me for. Well, if you have a judgment against you, you know, this is a state that they can garnish your wages. So just because you may not feel like you have a lot of assets, there's still ways that they can put up roadblocks to access some money from you.
Well, when you talk about, and that's great information you just gave, when you talk about a person who has assets, if you have an asset, a home, what you're saying is if you have an asset, a home, a house, properties, houses, cars, automobiles, plural, the umbrella, you're kind of subject to loss if you don't have proper coverage.
You got it, Cedric. And you know, personal injury attorneys, again, I just bring that up. You know, if somebody is wrong.
No, we're not against.
No, we're not.
Because we have them on the program. We just,
that's what I'm getting to. We're not against them. I have friends that are personal
we got
injury
one in
attorneys.
particular that comes on here. We're not talking about you.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, someone is, if you're at fault, then and that person is injured and they have legitimate claims, then they're going to come after you.
Right.
And you need to have protection to protect your assets.
Yeah, real good. That's good. Great information. Well, you know, you gave us a list of things that we're supposed to talk about today. We
Yes,
appreciate it. We appreciate it. And you said more people lose their homes due to medical reasons and job loss than for a covered loss.
Yes, sir. One of the things I want to talk about is that all of us, you know, we have homeowners insurance, especially if you have a mortgage. Your mortgage company is going to require it. But one of the stats say that for every home that is lost due to something that is covered in your policy, whether that be a fire, whether that be weather-related, tornado, there are 16 homes that are lost because someone in that household died and the family couldn't afford to pay the mortgage.
Wow.
For every home that is lost, again, due to something that's covered on their policy, there's 34 that are lost because someone got injured, someone got sick, or someone just overall lost their job. And again, the people in the household weren't able to keep up with the mortgage. So, you know, having the homeowner's insurance is key, it's essential. You want to have it, you need to have it. But then let's think about the total picture. Do you have disability insurance? So if you got hurt, or if you got sick, do you have something that's going to protect you and pay you an income while you're not working? So you can still take care of your bills, still put food on the table, still pay that mortgage. And let's say if you just lost your job, got laid off, then do you have an emergency fund in place that, you know, will cover you for 3 months, 6 months until you're able to get back on your feet, find another job? So, you know, again, homeowners is key. But you want to look at the whole picture, and that's what I kind of counsel my clients about, just taking a whole look at that picture and make sure you're covering all bases.
That's good. That's great stuff. Well, you know, you were telling me also about an example of, I guess, a prospective client who did come in to see you for the insurance,
Yes, sir.
but did not actually secure the insurance before something happened.
Yes, sir. You know, this kind of hit home to me. I always say that purchasing life insurance, buying it 20 years early is better than a day late. And this was somebody that I knew personally, and we had the conversation. We talked about the life insurance. This person had small kids, and we worked it out. It was something that they wanted to do. They just wanted to hold off for a couple of months. 30 days from that conversation, they were gone. They passed away. So now the family's in a situation, the kids are in a situation where if the decision had just been made earlier, then their future could have been secured, and a lot of things just could have been in place or been better in place if that decision had been made early. You know, with life insurance, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, it allows you to create an immediate state. You know, you could take a small amount of funds, you can put it in life insurance, and if something happens to you, your family is covered. Not only that, you know, life insurance, especially if you're talking about, you know, people get into, you know, term life versus whole life. And one of the things that I do is I like to educate my clients understand the difference between temporary or term life insurance and whole life. You know, everything is not for whole life. You may have some temporary needs. You may have a mortgage that you know you're going to pay off in 20 years. But you may have some permanent needs like final expenses. But the thing that I always say, Cedric, is that the best form of life insurance is the one that's in place when you pass away.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Great information. Well, you know, now as we're talking about planning for the future, one of the things that we need to plan for is retirement.
Absolutely. And you know, retirement is very key. We all know that as adults that we need to plan for retirement. Nobody's going to give us anything. But one of the things that I point out to clients is that you want to make sure you're planning for retirement, but you don't want to sacrifice your retirement for your children's education. I'm a parent, know a lot of parents. You want to make sure you set your kids up in the right path. You know, you want to shoot them in the direction that they're supposed to go. But what you want to look at, we don't recommend, I'm not advocating that a child, you know, goes out and take on a lot of debt for education. But those options are there. But what I haven't seen, Cedric, is that, you know, a 65-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old is able to walk into a bank, talk with the loan officer, and apply for a loan, and that officer asks them, well, what's the reason? Well, I need to finance my retirement. I don't know if that's not going to happen. So you need to make sure that you put in the proper things to plan for your retirement, and not sacrifice those retirement dollars to educate your kids.
Well, I tell you, we really want to talk more about this retirement, but we've got to wrap this up and invite you to come back so we can talk some more about this, because we were about to go into detail, but we can't do it. So we're going to have to invite you to come back, because this is really, really good things that you've been sharing. Want to just close by saying, want to get you to reiterate your brand statement, which is purchasing life insurance 20 years early is always better than a day late.
It's always better. What you don't want to happen is that you just don't want to leave your family in a situation where they don't have the proper means to, you know, properly bury you, properly take care of, you know, the children. You don't want to leave your spouse in a situation where she can't take care of herself.
Excellent. Mr. Stallworth, thanks for coming. Great information. Want to encourage you to contact Mr. Kris Stallworth. Been knowing him for a long time. He'll take care of you. He'll return the phone call. He'll return the email. So thanks for watching on this edition of Vision, and we'll see you next time.